Hey, deserving listeners, sister wives, let's see what happens.
Oh my God! Finally, a phone! It is a phone! It is in fact a phone!
Because we might be moving, I got McKelty a cell phone. I wanted her to have contact with her Utah friends.
Are you still confused on whether we're going to move or not?
Okay, well, that looked edited. She was saying that she bought her daughter, McKelty, she's the second, a cell phone because she wants McKelty to, actually, I didn't know how that name was pronounced, because she wants her to have contact with her friends once they move. Well, how'd she word it?
Because we might be moving, I got McKelty a cell phone. I wanted her to...
Oh, because she says, because we might be moving. And then that prompted Kody to creepily lean in with a scowl and say, are you still confused about moving? And, there's another way to ask that. And of course, he's on his best behavior, right? Because they're on camera. So if we exaggerate that to a more authentic, normal vibe, what does that say? I mean, that's an assumption, but it certainly doesn't come across well. Christine, on the surface, seems like she has enough agency to speak her mind. I think. I don't know. Let's see how that plays out.
Have contact with her Utah friends.
Are you still confused on whether we're going to move or not?
So we'll see what Christine says here, but the body language from both is not encouraging. The intimidation or just even the message of just like, and then, I don't know, I keep looking for signs of the high control group. You can imagine this kind of messaging being given to him as well. Are you still confused about what the Bible wants for you? That kind of, I don't know. There was a whole conversation about how they on paper are allowing their kids to do what they want with their futures regarding religion or polygamy or whatever. But I couldn't tell if that was actual freedom. It looked like it might be, which is encouraging because, of course, you want kids to have at least, I don't know, at least in my culture, that's what I would aspire for. The way that they worded it, particularly him, was I want them to do what makes them happy, and I want them to do what makes God happy. And then they just went to commercial. And I'm like, there's a lot there. What do you mean by God? Because a lot of people have different ideas about what makes God happy. Because if I imagine what's in, we all understand that the religious group that they're in is probably not devoid of odd beliefs, right? Given, maybe they're the one polygamist, fundamentalist Mormon group that operates under the radar, away from the law. Maybe they're that one group that we would completely relate to and sign off on all their beliefs and all their messages. It just doesn't seem likely, right? So, anyway, so I wonder about that, because that's been done to him. His own dad converted, right? So there's that. And then this messaging to her and the infantilization of her right now. Or maybe she's just like, hey, I stand on my... Cause she does come across like she has a lot of agency, but let's see how this plays out.
Are you still confused on whether we're going to move or not?
Yep.
Okay.
She has a choice just like all of us.
Okay, they're editing that. But she says, yep, I am confused. But that's all she said. And it was said from a different place than I usually see from her. So what's going on there? And this illuminates a problem, for them to move. That's a major thing, right? And of course, she has the power to say, well, but then they have kids together, Kody and Christine, And of course, the kids have second moms and several other step or half siblings. So if she decided to stay, does that happen? Seems to be heading in that direction. Where do the kids go? Well, I guess unless you got divorced and there was a court mandate, you would just have to work it out, I guess. What would be the fair thing? I don't know. But what this illuminates is that the family has not established what they want to do as a group. Yet the train has already seemingly left the station. They are moving. And Christine doesn't know if she wants to go. Or has Christine indicated that she wants to go and now is changing her? I don't know. But then we heard something, I think, from Robin. Let's rewind.
Are you still confused on whether we're going to move or not?
Yep.
Okay.
She has a choice just like all of us.
She has a choice just like all of us. And it's interesting to look at, as a systems person, it's interesting to just see how the roles, because she's a new addition to the system. So what role is she going to take? People tend to look at it as it's like, well, Robin is the way that she is, but she has to adjust and the system has to adjust to her. And what was going on before she entered. And Janelle is typically just not really in the room. I don't want to say that with certainty, I don't know, but in the way that it's edited in her body language, she just always seems to be not there. Not that I'm criticizing her, she just seems to go with the flow, I guess is a positive way. Mary seems like a pleaser in a certain way and a stuffer of her feelings. Christine seems like the one who speaks her mind, I guess. And now we have a new addition. Oh, you can't see her on your screen. Let me change that. So for Robin, she's now pushing back on Kody. Kody is smiling. So is Mary. Janelle's looking on. Christine looks like maybe she might be, I would imagine, appreciating what Robin is saying. And that's interesting because Robin's new and doesn't come from polygamy in her own previous marriage. I also wonder if she was being abused and it has determined that she's not going to be abused. There's a lot of assumptions there. There's a lot of speculation, but I don't know. But she is quick to defend Christine. It's interesting that the others aren't, because that it would make sense that there should be some support that, hey, if Christine's not ready to go, then she should be allowed to do that. And the body language that he was having, but he's smiling. But then they quickly edit. This is just one of the few glimpses of like actual dynamics and personality that's happening and needs that's happening. And so I don't want to let go of it because it's so infrequent. And the fact that they edit just like they blast this scene and it very, very quickly goes to Christine on a close-up, and we don't get to see what this smile is. Are they smiling because, I don't know, is he being condescending with the smile, like, oh, you and your assertiveness, and Mary knows, like, Robin stepped in it, or I don't know. Let's rewind this. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. So I remember as a kid, the adults in my life would talk about how the older that they got, the faster that time moves by. And I even remember as a kid when I was like 10 years old thinking that when I was younger, time moved more slowly. Now, there are a few reasons for this phenomenon, but one of the reasons seems to be that the older we get, the more we fall into a routine and we stop really paying attention to our lives. Well, of course, therapy can be a wonderful place to slow things down and give us a chance to focus on things. Generally speaking, therapists are pretty good at creating a space for us to do that. And sometimes it seems like we need that outside influence to get us to slow down. Well, one place you can find a therapist is BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, it's definitely worth giving a try. So take a moment, visit betterhelp.com/Kirk today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
Yep.
Okay.
She has a choice just like all of us.
I don't want to move. I don't want to move our kids. I don't want to move our family. I like where we're at.
And I think another role that Christine fulfills is one of a carefree child. Not that she's childish, but that she's more on the carefree side and is more spontaneous in a way. And I think she's kind of exhibiting that here. But the downside to that is that she might not be considering the reality of this scenario, right? Because they have to do something. You know, if she were to say, yeah, I am unsure if I want to go. I want to stay. I realize that something has to give. We have to get a lawyer or something. We have to get an agreement from the society, from the legal, from law enforcement, so that we don't have our family broken up. But I am, we don't hear that from her. She's just like, the way a kid would is just like, well, I don't want to, and you don't expect them to. I'm not putting her down. I'm just pointing out the dynamics that I think are happening right here. Yeah, and so she's saying, I don't know. I just don't. She, the way she was communicating her feelings here, she doesn't seem super comfortable. There's no eye contact with him. So it indicates some kind of worry there. Then I wonder if she wants out of the marriage. I don't know. She's just like, this is my chance. There's no data to back that up, but what's going on?
I know you want something miraculous and something, I don't even know what could happen, but I don't think I can change my mind just because.
I know, but I don't think you're even listening to.
Yeah, this is a theme with him. He, with Mary on earlier this season or the previous season when they had their getaway for their 20th, Mary was just saying, I just want acknowledgement, and he was in this, I don't want to hear it, and all this kind of stuff. And, you just imagine it could have been the way he was raised. Doesn't excuse it exactly, but all he has to say is, oh, you're still on the fence. Okay, well, I guess we, as the five of us, still have to consider our options as a group. We all have a vote. But of course, in these high-control religious groups, the women don't have a vote. I don't know. Maybe they're progressive. Maybe they all have a vote. Somehow I doubt it. I don't know. But anyway, what Christine is looking for is just some empathy of just like, yeah, I hear you. I feel that way too. There's a part of me that feels that way too. Let's talk about it. Instead, he talks down to her and says, I know you want your miracle. It's a way of infantilizing and making her seem silly. There's nothing silly about not wanting to leave the community you've lived in for the past, 20 years or longer. Maybe she's even from that town. I don't even know. So, you don't have to put her down, but he is. But honestly, in terms of the scale of transgression, this is very normal. I see good couples talk to each other like this all the time. It's as a couple therapist that specializes in communication, I will see some of the most solid, lovely couples, and I'll cringe at some of I'll be, there's another way to put that.
My point of view.
But I am listening.
But you say, well, we're going to move regardless of what we say. So how's that listening to my point of view?
You gotta tell her why you think we should move, Kody.
I just don't want to make decisions in fear.
Wait, who said that? One of the other sister wives. There's too many of them. Said you have to explain. So the way you would to a child. Anyway, let's rewind.
I know, but I don't think you're even listening to my point of view.
But I am listening.
But you say, well, we're going to move regardless of what you say. So how is that listening to my point of view?
You gotta tell her why you think.
Right. So Robin is, and again, Janelle and Mary are silent. What does that tell me? Are they wanting to move? Have they already concluded that? And they're just like, well, we're on board with the move, so whatever. Or have they been beaten into submission emotionally or physically? Do they know better than to incur the wrath of Kody or the high control group? Because again, I have a hard time believing that the religious group is not involved in their lives, right? Presumably they go to church all the time and there's some sort of church elder. We're not, the system includes all these people and all these factors that we're just not even being introduced to at all, right? I also wonder if the producers, because sometimes I would see this on other shows. Where I don't know. I just feel like I've felt this or seen indication in the past where the producers and one of the cast members would have conferred, and like sometimes they'll be like, I have a bomb to drop, and for whatever reason the camera crew was there that day, and it's like, well, someone must have known, and you could imagine. So this is just speculative, but that Kody, even at the very beginning of this whole process, because the way it looks is that Kody was the one that's engineering the producers, or the producers reached out to him or are treating him like the leader, or I don't know. I mean, it certainly doesn't look like Christine or Mary or Janelle are the leaders when it comes to talking to the producers. I can't know, but I could imagine how this is highly speculative, but that Kody and the producers had long conversations with TLC administration and lawyers prior to even shooting the show or airing the show, and they're thinking, here's what's going to happen, here's the likelihood, here's the options, you could move to this other state, and then Kody's like, oh, okay, that'll be tough, but and maybe even the show would pay for that whole process. That wouldn't be strange. Like with the Duggars, TLC paid to. This is around the same time, and I'm guessing TLC is looking at this because the Duggars were before this, right? Just slightly before, and this is in this similar vein of like theme, not exactly, but similar. And you could imagine TLC saying, let's get them. It even makes me wonder, because, what TLC did is they're like, they're in such a cramped environment when we're filming them at first. And there's that house that the Duggars have been trying to build, but they ran out of money. Well, we'll pay for them to finish that house because it'll be easier to film this thing. And I wonder, given that Robin is being added, which maybe that was even semi-engineered by the producers. I don't. That seems hard to believe. But at the very least, there's no room for Robin and the kids in that house, right? Because there's only so many wings of the house. And so then they're thinking, well, this is all speculative, but I can imagine Kody with the producers are like, well, if Robin enters, then we have to get a bigger place. Well, two birds with one stone. You get out of the state because they're going to come after you because Utah is particularly litigious or prosecutory of this sort of thing. And so you can go to this other state. We'll pay for half of the down payment or something, and you can live in this other place. It's a win for TLC because they get to have a bigger venue to film, and they can have more. Because, certainly TLC doesn't want to invest in a reality TV storyline that isn't going to pan out over time. They tend to really want to commit to these kinds of things. So they wouldn't have even begun working with them if they thought the whole thing was going to be, although that would be TV gold if they did go to jail or something, right? So I don't know. I'm just sort of working myself through this. But anyway, so for Mary and Janelle, just blank. I don't know what that means. Does that mean they're checking out? Does that mean they agree with him? Does that mean that they agree with Christine? Does that mean they're beaten into submission? What does that mean? But then Robin is the one really going after him in a way that I haven't seen before. The other women tend to giggle almost around him, whereas Robin is almost like, an authority over Kody. I mean, there's been like dynamics and little things, but it never felt like Kody was being really firmly talked to, at least in the edit. And Robin is doing that right now. And yeah, it's good that let's rewind that. Okay, well, that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself, truly, because you deserve it. You really do.